truly two-dimensional, and you have different ways to kind of counter how defenses attack you.
Yeah, I think that you look at a couple different games. You look at the Oregon State game. We're able to run the football, and they were probably a little bit softer in coverage and did some different things. You look at New Mexico, how they played and tried to come up and have everybody up there on the line and say, dare you to pass a little bit, and we're able to do that. So that's all great, but you got to execute it. So Brett said, Thomas, those guys were obviously very big in the pass game against New Mexico, and then when there were opportunities to run, I thought the run game was good. I thought J-Mac did a good job, but then you go back and look at Oregon State a little bit. We didn't quite see that same coverage and aggressiveness from Oregon State, and we're able to run the football a lot more effectively. So to me, it's all about balance. And what does balance mean? It's really you're taking advantage of whatever they give you. And we talked about it before. If you got to throw the ball, we don't want to, but if you got to throw the ball, almost every play, and that's how you have to win it, then you prepare your game plan to do that. If you're not able to throw the ball effectively, you prepare your game plan to run it. And so if you ever look at our game plan, there's overage. There's always overage in there that you didn't use, but those are also your plans of the what-ifs that might come up. And, in this game, it was a lot of guys up in the box, not a lot of guys in the back end, and we had some one-on-one matchups, and we won them.
You've been asked this before, but it's been a very, very odd year in turnover margin. How do you look at that now?
Yeah, that's a good question. The same way, still believe in it. Still wholeheartedly believe in you have to win the turnover battle. We actually did, in the last game. So we had the one turnover and we gave up 0. So I still think if you're not in the plus category in a game, obviously this season's not shown for that all to be true, but in games, it's going to catch up to you. If you're turning the ball over 2 or 3 times on offense and not getting it on defense, it's going to catch up to you. And, that's been a focus. We've talked about it. And at the same time, you don't want to take away from some of the things that we've done well, with blocking, tackling, some of the fundamentals, but at the same time, I think everybody's aware that it's just a matter of time. If you're not winning the turnover battle, you're losing possessions, and if they're taking advantage of those possessions, that's a big part of a football game. And I think every coach would say that because it's true. It's absolutely true. So we're going to keep emphasizing it. When we're not getting something done the way that we want to, we emphasize it. And we will keep emphasizing it, and we will keep emphasizing it. And we'll do our very best to try to create those on defense. We're going to do our very best to not give up any on special teams or offense in those categories. And so our guys understand that. I don't think anybody in this room says, we're still winning. They're happy about it, but I also think these guys are smart players where they know that eventually we need to start winning that battle more often than not.
On punt returns, Killian's obviously had a couple struggles there, and you put Set in, for the last part of that game. I just want to ask what you've seen from that, and also I don't know if maybe it's changed a little bit, but Killian's caught a couple of fair catches around the 5, and I don't know if you guys have instructed him to do that, or if that's maybe been something maybe he shouldn't have done.
No, you know what? He actually we have instructed him to do that, and here's one of the reasons why. These punters are so good now at killing. They're the Aussie punt, and you see, Sean's done it where they're killing that ball. So it's one of those, if you can catch it at the 5, you're in that backed up zone. You like to get outside the 5, at least be in the 6 or 7 if you're going to have to punt. So it's one of those, and I think teams have changed that, not just us, but I think teams in general have said, okay, we'll put you, it used to be the 10, right? Don't go past the 10-yard line, heels at 10. Now they're killing it inside the 10 so well, you go to the 5. And if it's behind you on that, don't back up. Let it go ahead and go in the end zone. We're trying to be aggressive on punt return. One of the things as a punt returner, all right, this is one of the most difficult positions to play in football because you have so many things, so many variables. You anticipate this guy's a 42-yard average and he shanks one, or he kicks it 34 yards. You have to run up, or he booms one for 56. We're over there yelling at him exactly where to go, and there's a lot of different things, but when the ball needs to be caught or can be caught, we need to catch it. Otherwise, if you go back and study it, we used to say, you could lose anywhere from 13 to 17 yards throughout a kind of on average, if you're not catching punts. And for whatever reason, that guy was kind of spraying all over the place, and Sed was kind of having a game, and his confidence was pretty high in there. So it was, we need to catch these, and I don't think he had any problem with, okay, I'm going to go run up 15 yards through traffic and have no problem catching it. And sometimes as simple as that, just like, hey, we weren't catching it early on. Sed was confident. We'll put him back there. And I think we still have to do a better job on our punt return team of holding guys up. There's still too many guys running down the field free to where that guy is having to maneuver through a lot of traffic. We don't want that. It shouldn't look like that, and we're going to have to keep working that on those things.
So it is the 5-yard line that generally there that you.
We have been.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
we have been. We put him back heels at 5.
Okay. Looking at Thomas this year, he's playing in the slot quite a bit. Obviously, what kind of? I can make a good guess, but what allowed him to kind of move in, and how much more of a matchup difficulty is he in there?
Yeah. Well, didn't the Cardinals move Fitzgerald inside? And he was pretty productive. Yeah, we actually, Thomas is everywhere. He's still outside, he's inside. I think just the way with Chaz and Sed, where those guys operate best, and Thomas is such a swing guy for us. We can move him and put him in multiple positions. He's really smart. He's able to handle that. The other thing about Thomas too, it's not just about what he can do inside the pass game. He actually blocks well. So some of the outside run or inside run game and all that, we have to go dig a safety out or block a nickel or a Sam linebacker. He actually goes in there and does that pretty well. So to me, it's some of that combination of, hey, we want Thomas to block this guy, now we want to throw it to him in there. And probably the best way to put it is he's so versatile that we can do that. He's just had some success in there, working on the safeties a little bit, working on some of the linebackers, and also blocking them.
5 games, how would you assess the play of your offensive line so far?
Solid. I think they've been really solid. I've been real proud, when Mason got injured and Stephen Baggett, Mason got injured on Wednesday in practice. Stephen Baggett was the starting center on a Thursday, and we're playing on Saturday. And so I think that Mario had to bump down, John Molchon's bumping up. And that stuff happens, and you prepare for that, but still, you don't want it to happen that late in the week. I think those guys have been studs as far as they've handled that. I think we've been pretty good in the sack category, protecting the quarterback, and Brett's done a good job of getting the ball out. You guys know the stats more than I do. And then I think they've been solid in the run game. Those guys they're good football players, but we're looking every week. We like to go out there and dominate the run game. You want to do that. That's an O-line mentality. You want to take care of your quarterback. But those guys have been very solid in the different lineups we played with. They haven't flinched. Steven has snapped the ball extremely well. Had a couple in this last game that were a little bit off target. I think a little bit because of what the defense was doing, not so much of what he was doing. And I think we're just getting better. That's the one thing about that group I would say. Coach Huff does a great job, but we're in that still improvement phase. Nobody's sitting there like, hey, we got this figured out. We're getting better, and we'll get Mason back too. Mason's going to come back. We'll get him back in the mix. What that means at this point, I don't know. I just know he's going to be back in.